Your rights as a taxpayer.
Oh my God. Thanks for the heads up on that. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dustin Coiner from TrackDaz here in Southern California, and I'm on with the Superbike genius himself, Richard Stanboli from the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing Team.
You got it. I'm not feeling too genius lately, but we work hard.
The fuck out of here, man! You came away from the weekend with a W and a third, like.
No, well, yeah, the last one. We got a first, second, and the third.
Right.
I mean, yeah, first and second in the two races, and then the third for Peterson. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Road Atlanta. Holy shit, man! Just walking around that place, or let me rephrase that: golf karting around that place.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea how gnarly it really was with the elevation change. My goodness.
Yeah, I've been going there since early '90s, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Motor America didn't go there and then came back, I think that was pretty cool. And yeah, from the USA days, way back in the heyday.
Yeah.
Paul Harrell riding a Suzuki, and yeah, we had the gravity cavity, which was
Yeah.
that was a man's corner there.
I had my dad with me, and he was telling me, I guess when he raced there in the early 70s with ERA, like everybody knows that club is Wera now, but he was in ERA. And he was like, "Oh yeah, the gravity cavity, this and that." I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah, we used to have Superbike races over the gravity cavity. That's where a friend of mine, Brad Hazen, got into it with Scott Doohan, Mick Doohan's brother, and
oh shit.
Brad broke both his legs. He hit the bridge,
Yeesh.
and Scott Doohan was never right again. Yeah, they both collided into each other, kind of the way Escalante and got into the back of Baz after the start finish. That was kind of weird, huh?
Oh man, I haven't seen anything like that since Willow Springs was doing the stopping red flag thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, stopping red flag thing.
You
They
remember
cracked
that?
that.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that one on a bike that didn't have a starter.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd have to stop where you're at, and
Yeah.
sometimes you're uphill,
Right.
and you're like, okay, I'm going to start this thing again because the only way you can start is a push start, usually with your friend pushing it.
Yeah.
And then you had one of those total lost batteries because you didn't have a charging system and didn't have fuel injection. You had carburetors.
What do you think it was? I mean, the Willow Springs thing, I mean, it was like red flag comes out, rider in front,
Yeah.
sees it, shuts the gas off as they throw their arm up, and the classic Danny Farnsworth sizzling 400-pound enema thing happens, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe Baz shut off as he came past start finish.
Right.
And Escalante stayed on the gas. Maybe had his head down the bubble.
Right.
Kind of strange.
Yeah.
Brain farted
like
for a second and ran into. I heard he went like 90 meters past start finish on the gas.
Yeah.
So some people say, oh, that's not very far. It's not very far on a race bike, but that's almost 100 yards, right?
Yeah, 100 yards, full gas on a super bike. I mean, picking up speed while you're doing it.
Yeah, I don't think he was shifting through the gears. I've seen that before, places where the guys get the checkered and they just keep on the throttle all the way to turn one.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. In World Superbike and MotoGP, you'll see the guys will do a wheelie. They'll, down that start finish straight, they're all, high-fiving each other and stuff like that. And nobody's on the throttle after start finish.
Right.
So it was kind of a straight. Maybe Baz came back in World Superbike, everybody kind of shuts it off after start finish. And like I said, I've seen our guys be on the gas after start finish. So I don't know what that's all about. If they just get in race mode and maybe didn't see the checker, I imagine he did.
Yeah, I was talking about this last night. It's like, man, I can kind of still hear it because it seemed like that scraping noise lasted forever.
Yeah, it happens when you crash on the front straight.
Dude.
One of the bikes got in and bounced off the wall. I think Baz did and got to the wall because Escalante was doing the ragdoll down the straightaway.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Hopefully he'll be okay and back in action soon. But it sounds like he's pretty messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of chatter like maybe maybe they're gonna have to look for a replacement rider temporarily until Richie comes back because he's pretty significantly hurt, right? I mean, fractures, compound, compression fractures in his spine area, the L, whatever, ribs.
I know one guy who's probably calling him right now.
Yeah, Chavi Flores.
just the little I've worked with him. I have a feeling he's already on the horn.
Yeah,
he'd be tough to beat even with Suzuki.
Yeah, I mean that Troy Herfoss dude's apparently down to ride a Superbike as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so
there's going to be a few candidates out there that want to fill in.
I'm sure the M4 people are getting the phone call already, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're not going to show up at Barber with one dude, right?
They're pretty well connected, so I'm sure they're going to have someone on the bike. No, they're not. They're going to put somebody on the bike. But usually those guys don't headhunt like that. Like Pash was on the bike, right? Due to an injury, they ended up keeping him. Like he was a temporary, right? Is that the way that Pash thing went?
I don't know. Is it?
I thought somebody. Oh, I know. Tony quit.
Tony,
right?
Yeah, Tony punched out. That's right.
Punched out after Road America, and they put Pash on the bike. So they didn't exactly run out and find another veteran rider that was ready to go. So who knows who they would possibly put on the bike? It's interesting.
Yeah.
But without a doubt, I mean, with Cameron's hand surgery, there was always tons of people saying, "I'll fill in, I'll fill in, I'll fill in." That's kind of how. And Chavi was there just in case Cam couldn't make it, but he did luckily.
Yeah. So hopefully they sort it out, and hopefully Richie's going to be good. I mean, I think Baz is going to be good. I mean, he's like, I just hurt my ankle a little bit. It's a bad foot from.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising to me how poorly he did.
Yeah, I expected him to be higher.
I didn't expect Baz to be given a toe by Herring in qualifying. I mean, he can do the pace because they popped up 1-2 at one point, right?
Right.
By getting a toe, I just thought was kind of, I guess, a couple of years on Pirellis and your whole focus changes when you get back on the Dunlops.
Maybe. Yeah, the Dunlops are quite a bit different than they were when he was here too, right?
Yeah, they are. But I think the front is probably more like the Pirelli than the older front.
Right.
So I thought that was a little bit odd. I think one of the questions you have is what surprised me.
Yeah.
About this weekend, and Baz not being fast surprised me, and Bobby being fast didn't really surprise me because we tested that week before, right?
Yeah.
And he was fast there, but only for a couple of laps. So for him to be fast, out of the gate, and he was putting down the laps. I know he likes that track a lot, right. And he went out and got pole. Not a huge surprise, but I thought that was pretty good. Our guys didn't ever seem to really get a clean lap. It was a really strange weekend.
I know. I kind of heard some chatter. Both of our guys talked about kind of getting into slower riders during the last 5 minutes of qualifying. Actually, I had one rider come up to me because they were kind of afraid to talk to CP and just to apologize for messing up his qualifying.
Yeah, that happened more than once.
Man.
Yeah, it happened more than once. And Atlanta's one of those tracks where if you get caught up with somebody in the S's, your fast run is screwed.
Yeah.
You're just stuck. And there's a couple corners like that, and if the guy doesn't make way, you're not going to get a fast lap. Even if it does make way, it throws your rhythm off, and how that. And the field was pretty tight.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, the lap times weren't that good.
Yeah, they all the practice sessions I thought were a little bit slower than last year's.
Yeah, I mean our race pace was slower, and it seemed like I was just talking to Marshall today about that. I said, "What do you think that was? Why was the pace so much slower?" He goes, "I don't know. It wasn't like we weren't competitive. I think we were even more competitive this year than last year."
Right.
So I said, as far as our peers go, Cameron has another year on the BMW. He's had a whole season on it now. So you think he'd be a little bit faster. Herring had a whole season on the Beamer, on the Ducati. So you think he'd be faster, but it wasn't like anybody was running away from us. So it was the competition was no faster than us, and it seemed like the pace was slower this year. Maybe the track got worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I heard a lot of chatter, you know, because I walked around with stupid GoPro and talked to people. I heard a lot of chatter from riders, kind of complaining that there was so many not full season Superbike people in out there in the first place, because they maybe you know they're like full. They were kind of using that weekend as like a full dress rehearsal for the stock thousand stuff, and maybe didn't quite have the pace to or the situational awareness that other riders were out there trying to throw down lap record pace, you know?
Nah, you need all those guys out there. I'm not
Yeah, I
really.
thought it was rad,
I'm not
honestly.
really. I didn't really hear Jake complain about it. Only Cameron. I think Jake might have said something to John, but I didn't hear him complaining.
No,
And he's
I
not much of
didn't
a
I
complainer.
didn't say I heard that from our pit.
Yeah, but Cameron did say he was blocked a few times by
You're right.
whenever he had his head down trying to do a fast lap, and
Yeah,
he had to wait a couple of laps. I think Jake had the same situation. He had to
right.
wait a couple of laps to get a clear lap.
Yeah.
So for sure that was the case, and it did affect qualifying. But at the end, I don't think it affected the race at all.
Yeah, it didn't affect the race at all. I
Uh,
mean, there you know, every race you end up having the front runners come into, you know, come into the lap traffic and navigate through that anyway, right? So
yeah, I guess JD would say that it hurt his race.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, we're kind of jumping around. So I mean, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, I was just, you know, we had a pretty beautiful weekend there weather-wise, and then contrast that to Sunday, it was like Team Wet Sock. So,
Yeah, yeah. And we knew the rain was coming. It was in the forecast.
yeah.
And so, I don't know, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's
Qualifying,
talk. Well,
I,
you know what? Honestly, I mean, let's get to the rain in a second. I mean, you guys spent a lot of time working on the stuff in the off season, and you know, after the first day of practice and seeing how you guys stacked up against competition, you know, how do you think the stuff that you did in the shop and at Podium Club leading up to the race, how do you think that all that stuff worked out?
I think it went really well. The lap times didn't show it, but our
Right.
bike jumped off the corners really well
Yeah.
and held its own down the straightaway, the Beamer and Ducati, and it was really strong on the brakes. So I think mission accomplished as far as the chassis goes.
Right.
Uh, we did find out in the race that Jake's still struggling a bit with feeling in his hand, which is kind of a bummer, and he was pretty
Yeah.
bummed about that. And I think that's common knowledge now. I think they talked
Right.
on the podcast on the broadcast.
Right. Greg
So
was talking about it. Yeah.
yeah. So we thought that was behind us because in testing it didn't manifest itself. He never complained about it, and then in race one, he just said he couldn't really break the way he wanted to. So I think we left a lot on the table with that regard. But
Yeah.
he was pretty happy with the bike. Cameron was happy with the bike. I don't think we touched a clicker on Cameron's bike until we went to wet setup.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of him just riding the motorcycle, and he had the and in the race itself, he had that strange, once again, a yellow flag being posted somewhere where the riders can't see it.
Right.
So
So you sent the guys out to draw with Sharpie notes to him, right?
yeah, I mean, the guy was behind one of those banners on the side of the track on the inside, like where
Yeah.
the kink is on the straightaway.
Yeah.
Past the kink as you're headed downhill behind one of those banners holding the yellow flag about waist high. And Cameron had already committed to passing on the outside. I can't remember who he's passing. Maybe STK, something like that. I think he was. And so he went up underneath them. And by that time, he's already committed, and they gave him a 2-position penalty. So that put him behind Baz, I believe. And then when he went to try to pass Baz, he crashed on the front. He got on some rough stuff. Baz pinched him off a little bit, and he had to get in a little tight, and he got on the rough stuff and fell down. So it kind of like the whole thing was a little domino effect.
Yeah.
And he had to pick up the bike, and he finished 15th.
So how do you I mean, obviously you use the pit board to tell him to let the two guys, like how do you tell the rider while they're out there?
Well, he got a warning from start finish. That you had to do that, and World Superbike they have it pop up on your dash, but we don't have that technology yet. I hope one day that they'll have that technology in Motor America, because it would take away a lot of the weird stuff, like yellow flag. If you had yellow on your dash when you got your head down going down that straightaway, you know, hey, don't pass here.
Right.
But they don't have that technology, so you're looking at a flagger that's somewhere hidden out of your periphery. Yeah, and then you got to be able to see that. The same thing happened to PJ, you know, in the wet. Can you imagine the wet, and then you have this flagger way outside to the inside of your periphery. You can't even see him. So that caught him out in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, yeah. Or you know, Kayla Yakov down there in the Junior Cup or whatever. That one time.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of these fairly top level riders that are getting caught out by these flags.
Yeah.
So if I was the sanctioning body, or if I was in charge of making sure the flags are visible, you know, I think I'd do something different. You know, what happened to the electronics? You know, the lights on the course. I mean, did we have lights on the course? I don't even know.
I mean, I saw flashing lights certain places throughout the track, but I didn't.
That straightaway with a kink in it, I mean, the riders are focused on getting through that kink at 190 miles an hour, 180 miles an hour. It's about what we saw on GPS speed. So right in the middle of that kink, you get, because I think this trap speeds are either just before or just after the kink. I think it might be just before. So you're still accelerating through that thing, and we've seen GPS speeds, like I said, 188, 187, 190.
Wow.
In the middle of that kink. Do you think someone's looking for a flagger at 190 miles an hour?
I mean, they're looking
pass.
Right.
And maybe you should be a little further up if you're talking about flagging that next corner.
Right.
You know, so, and we you know, didn't file a protest or anything, but we made our feelings known to Michael Martin, who's the rider rep. So hopefully he took it to course control, and they can analyze that next go around, do a little better job of making sure the riders understand the flag or can see the flags.
Yeah, that's, you know, the junior cup kids probably could see it.
Well, I mean, if you're going 100 miles an hour slower,
right,
then you probably see it, you know, or even 30 miles an hour slower, you can at least concentrate on what's around you instead of, holy crap, I'm going this fast, I'm going to break downhill.
Yeah.
I'm going this fast in the kink, I'm trying to pass this guy, and I'm going to break downhill.
Yeah.
You think you're looking around for a flag at that point? It was kind of a bad spot.
Yeah. So then also before the weekend started, you did the annual trip to Yamaha HQ.
Yeah, that was cool. Like we started doing that, I think, a few years back. We used to do that when we were with Kawasaki back in 2004 through 9. We'd have it in the lobby of Kawasaki, a little pep rally. So I thought it's always kind of cool when you get to mix it up with the people that behind the scenes that are working.
Yeah.
And support your program. You know, so a lot of pretty cool stuff. Some guys that are into robotics, other people are doing the website for Yamaha, and I mean, you get to.
There was a finance guy that came over during lunch, talked to us. The dude isn't into bikes at all. He's like a car guy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, when we're packing up to roll out, you know, it was the end of their work day, and he came out and asked more questions and was kind of into it.
Yeah, it was amazing how many people that work at Yamaha Marietta in Georgia were all transplants from LA, Orange County area.
Yeah.
LA, not Louisiana. LA is in Los Angeles.
Yeah. The finance dude, I was like, so you're just coming to check out what you normally see as a line item in the.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they all seem to be pretty inquisitive of what we had going on over there, and you know, I think it's pretty.
They get to go out, get out of the building at lunch and hang out.
They have free Chick-fil-A, right?
They did have free Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it's pretty. I never thought I would see so many Chick-fil-A's. I mean, it's like 7-Elevens here, right?
Yeah.
There's Chick-fil-A's everywhere. It's like every corner is a Chick-fil-A.
Man, those guys have the right formula, because every time you see a Chick-fil-A, there's a line go around the block.
It's like In-N-Out.
I don't know what they put in that chicken. It must be
crack.
Oh, crack. I think everybody's addicted to it,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Yamaha thing was pretty neat, and you know what? I mean, I gotta say, again, thanks for welcoming my dad into the pit, kind of think all weekend.
Yeah, I was curious to see who hatched you.
Oh man, I didn't know. I had no idea how far, gone, how far he was. I
Well,
mean,
people get old, man.
he's old, dude.
Yeah, I'll be driving around a golf cart pretty soon. Who knows?
Dude, the golf cart thing it was like the biggest joy ever for him to give Marshall a ride up the hill. And Campy's sister
Marshall would be the guy that would get the ride up the hill.
He got the ride, yeah.
That would be Marshall.
Yeah, man.
Marshall was the official, transportation guy at Daytona. Who
is that right?
In the car and drove it down for you while you were pushing all the toolboxes.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was a lot. I mean, that place is different. That place is a lot different. And you guys showed up with some new stuff. Obviously, this is the first Superbike weekend with your with the Easy Bake Oven, so that's fun.
Oh yeah, tired gig. Yeah,
Attack Performance baked goods.
Yeah, that works well.
Yeah, and then also you have those little truck the little carts that have a generator on them, and
yeah, those things are kind of piles.
You didn't like him?
Get new ones, yeah.
Yeah, I thought Fernando was Fernando was doing reverse wheelies. He'd push it, and the big wheels would lift up off the ground. So that was fun.
Yeah, it's a pile of junk.
Is it? That sucks.
Someone supplied him. I won't say who, Greg.
Wow. I mean, it's you guys are doing R&D.
Yeah.
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 Hey, I pushed one of those freaking carts all the way down that.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were not the winners. No, not those things. But they serve the purpose and carrying them over the wall. That's the other thing too. Motor America makes you walk all the way around that wall over there because there's no entryway on that wall. They used to have when AMA did it, they had a little stairway thing they set up.
Oh.
And I guess they don't want you to jump to the wall because you could twist an ankle or something. It's like the wimpy generation we live in. You can't jump over a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you jump the wall, there's like a fine or something.
I don't know.
I didn't read that I didn't read that part of the rules. So
Jake was trying to get over the wall to go use the porta potty, and he had to walk all the way around. And then he was like, then one of the flaggers or whatever he was, one of the marshals was lane marshal, I guess you can call him. He's like, yeah, just go use the stairs. You're the talent. And then he went over to use the ladder they had over there. He said, no, you got to walk over the wall or walk around the wall. So you have to go running all the way around the wall to get back to the bike.
Well, it's a good thing he's like super fit.
Yeah, your leathers and all that. You're over there running.
Yeah.
Whatever. Should at least have some stairs there. That'd be a lot nicer than hooking everything over the wall, walking around. Whatever. And we got the elderly group in our team.
Yeah, the geriatric team. Yeah, well, that's. I mean, you got a couple of youngsters on the team now too, right?
Yeah. Some guys moved along, so they hung up their hat or moved to another team, and we were able to. I always like bringing in new people. Especially the younger crowd. Yeah. I like to train people. I like to get that younger crowd going. It prolongs the sport, I think. You keep bringing in all the same old gray hairs. Eventually your team dies.
Right.
Of course not myself.
Right. Yeah. So obviously Ed. We talked about him before. Eric.
Yeah, his name is really Eric Davis.
Yeah, Ed. You guys all call him Ed.
Initials are ED.
Yeah.
Or I guess he doesn't have ED, but we call him ED anyway.
Right.
And so I started calling him Ed for short.
Well, everybody's calling him Ed. I heard, where the fuck is Ed? I was like, what?
Then we had the newest guy who was on the podium, right? If Ed was just a little bit newer, he would have got the first shot at the podium.
Yeah.
You start with the youngest guys first, right? So then, the newest guy's Cody, but we call him 1S.
Yeah. Or once.
No, it's 1S.
It's just 1S now?
Yeah, it's
I know
1S.
Corn Dog tried to make the
Corn Dog tried to
thing.
call them ones. I don't know why he called them that, but it's 1S.
Okay.
You want to know why?
Yeah, why do we call him 1S?
Well, he comes from some little tiny town of I don't know where in North Dakota, like an hour from Fargo. And so I said, yeah, so how small is your town? He goes, it's small. I go, you got a grocery store? He said, they just shut it down. I go, really? So you have no food? And I don't know if they grow all the food on the farm or what, but I must have to drive pretty far to get to their grocery store. I said, well, what do you got? What else you got? You got some bars? He goes, yeah, we got 4 bars. Oh, really? Got any
4
churches?
bars and no grocery store.
No grocery store. Yeah. I go, so you got any churches? He goes, yeah, we got 4 churches. So you got 4 bars, 4 churches. What else? Like, you got any strippers? He goes, we have
one stripper.
One stripper. She must work in another town because I can't imagine.
Small town.
1 bar, 1 stripper. So I call them 1S as in 1 stripper.
That's, you're in a small town when you got 4 churches, 4 pubs, and 1 stripper. No grocery store though.
Yeah, he's spoiled now. I mean, he's been in Motor America before. I mean, he's did the AMA thing with and all that racing with Robert Jensen. So when they were going out, and he did the tour with him when he was like in high school or something. And so he's got some experience. He works in a shop, and he did a good job for us.
Yeah.
And
I gotta.
He's spoiled now because his first weekend he gets a win and he gets to go up on the podium. It's all downhill from here. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now he's got to do the death march with the, all the equipment, pushing toolboxes and tire.
It's only gonna get hotter and worse.
Yeah. Well, at least there's that.
Best weekend ever, and it's all downhill from here. You might as well commit suicide.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm seeing some of the crew members already. They're commenting here. So yeah. I'm seeing Eric comment, Maurice. I think I saw Sarah earlier. So yeah, they're all commenting stuff. So
it's the only people watching is our own crew.
Well, according to what I'm seeing up here in the corner, I'm seeing 6,700 and something. So
wow. Same people clicking off and on.
Yeah.
It's like 3 people just clicking off and on.
Yeah, my wife's in the living room hitting
your wife and your dad's over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a little electric motor attached to an enter
mouse click. Yeah. Hit refresh. New account, refresh. Yeah.
Yeah. Try to get your numbers up.
Oh, that's what we were looking for, the fake numbers.
All right, let's get on with it. What are we doing?
Okay. So the racing, the stuff is a little bit different. You guys made the changes. How big of a change do you go from dry to wet setup? Because I've heard the term just turn them into street bikes and go.
Yeah, so we make a lot of changes. In the past, I've gone, okay, like throw your hands up, and you get the old guy on the team that says, all I ever do is back off the clickers and I go racing, and then our guy finishes shitty.
Right.
So I said, in New Jersey, I said, look, what we did before then wasn't inspiring a lot of confidence. So I said, we're going to have a good look at where we've had really big success in the wet and where we've sucked in the wet. So since New Jersey last year, where Jake was really fast in the wet, right? He won the first race. He kind of didn't put in the effort or didn't really care to. The championship's already secured, and he was like, I don't really want to throw it on the ground. So in the intermittent weird stuff, he didn't really push that hard, right?
Right.
In the second race. So we had a pretty decent setup going forward, but it requires a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So we changed the wheelbase, we changed the linkage, we changed the shock, we changed the valving in the fork, we changed the spring rates in the fork, we changed and the shock. There's a new spring rate, new compression, rebound damping. So it's a pretty involved setup. The ride heights change, so we changed the amount of pitch we have on the bike. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with it, and obviously the electronics change too, so the map changes as well. So it isn't just a, hey, throw it in there and go.
So basically,
That inspires a lot of confidence
you
in the rider.
you park the dry bike and you roll out the wet bike, basically.
It's something like that, but it takes about a half hour to make the change. So as long as you give the guys about a half hour, you can get it done. And that change also seems to work pretty well when the track is drying, because that's what we had on JD's bike when he won in New Jersey.
Right.
The track was drying, right?
Yeah.
And we did get a chance to test. Unfortunately, some of the other teams that were there didn't. I think Bobby might have ridden around a little bit at Podium Club and it was a little bit wet, but as the track it was windy and it was, remember that day?
Yeah.
And it was kind of drizzling off on, or just dry up and then would drizzle some more. And they had a few streams going across track. So we did get a chance, I think mostly after the Altus guys left and then ADR guys left. We were on the track when it was half wet. And so we got a chance to get some more time in half wet stuff. And part of it is letting the riders know that those tires do work when it's half wet.
Right.
Like I have not seen really crazy wear on the tires, even at drying track. And some of that's because the electronics doesn't let it spin that much.
Right.
So one of the areas where I think you could see it, like the amount of time we put into getting electronics right in the wet. Remember where JD crashed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was I think you call that turn 4, maybe. Through the exit.
SS.
Yeah, it's like kind of turn 4, and right before you go into 5. So you kind of you come down the hill and you kind of G out that left hander there.
Yeah.
And then you flash right, and then you brake and you go left through 5. And so the guys straight line that, but they're coming through there a little bit of an angle, like about 30 degrees or so.
Yeah.
And Jake went through there and went a little bit sideways.
And has that little
Yeah, whoop, and it went. The bike went whoop, like stepped out maybe about 25 or 30 degrees and came back and kept on going over that puddle. Bobier went through next, and he went to the right of it. Like he didn't go through the deep of it. Jake kind of not clipped the curb, but went right in there. And then JD went right through them in a little bit deeper, and his bike went way sideways. And if whatever electronics they had grabbed and it pitched it the other way and threw him over the bars.
Oh shit.
So the way that we work on that is there's a fast acting traction control. So if you can think about that, it catches little snaps, and we have that phase in, and then we have a certain level set on that so it doesn't overact. So it catches stuff real early. If you see if it feels a twitch, it'll catch it, and then at the same time phase in the slow stuff. So there's another one which normal spin as you're accelerating out of the corner, keep it from getting too far hung out. So then you phase that in, and then you saturate that, and you let the bike come back nicely. And it all overlaps and happens pretty quick. And that's the safety of having decent electronics. And people say, oh, electronics, blah, blah, blah. Well, you could probably ride without them, but it's a lot safer to ride with them.
So do you have data to show the little,
Oh, yeah. You want to see it now?
Yeah, let's take a look, dude. And by the way, the Buy a Jet from Steve Main says that he was just here for the quote data log conversation, and parenthetically says, "Don't call it telemetry."
It's not telemetry. I had to correct him because he kept saying telemetry when I met him at Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
And, let's see here. I have to get this open first.
So while you're opening that, I'll talk about Steve Main. I guess that dude sells jets.
And, he sells airplanes.
He sells airplanes all over the world, though. And believe he's a sponsor for that Altus team. So
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool to have a dude like that interested in motorbike racing. So
yeah, I got this thing up here. It's not showing the track map, but give me 1 sec.
Okay.
You can talk about other.
I'm being asked also. Yeah, I'll go to some of the comments while you're looking at that too. I'm being asked if we could see a data overlay to show the difference between the dry and wet race, like the throttle and brake differences.
Yeah, and some of the things that people probably don't even understand or realize that use more gas, more on time, more full throttle when it's wet.
Really?
Yeah, I can show you that too.
Yeah,
we have a channel which basically calculates how much throttle you use throughout the whole session. So we can do an overlay with that. Let me just clean up this thing so you guys actually, I didn't plan on showing this, so I got
The Soulless Ginger wants to know when Attack Performance is going to come out with the V2 parts.
V2 parts. What V2?
The Ducati.
Oh, that. Yeah, we're still working with Ray Hall on fine tuning some of it. It's pretty damn good right now, but you got Alexander, who's Gigantor, so we're trying to make a couple of mods so he can fit on it. It's really kind of a small man's bike, but it's hard to get something that fits everyone,
Right.
All right, my track map won't pop up for whatever reason, but we'll just deal with it. Let me if I open up Peterson's thing.
So I just I saw Abraham 4131 asked about my lowrider helmet.
Yeah.
I just texted my wife to bring it in because it's not in here. But let's see what else we got. Comment wise, Maurice.
So let's just go ahead and have a look at this. I'll just explain because let me maybe I can just do it in F5. There it is. Let's bring this track map up.
Looking at data, we're gonna roll up the sleeves and go full nerd.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, here's an odd question from Cody Krager. It says it's an odd question. How do you think the Attack MotoGP bike would compare to this year's Superbike?
Yeah, I don't know. You have to the MotoGP bike had a few things that gave it a benefit, and that one of them was the Bridgestone tires. So the Bridgestone tires were pretty damn amazing, and at least the MotoGP tires,
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I got this thing kind of going. If you want, see.
Let's have a look, man.
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's see. Where's the share screen thing? I forgot.
I think it's down. It says present.
Oh, it's on the present thing. Okay. Slide video share screen. There you go.
Aha.
Window. That one. Okay, can you see it? No?
Not yet.
Okay. I think you have to let me share it.
Yet?
Yeah, that's really low rider.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're very proud of it. That's what I think.
I'm stoked on it. Yeah.
And so can you let me share the screen? I got it on share.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
I'm going to kick us off. Let's kick us off so we don't look at our stupid faces.
Yeah, so, yeah, whatever. So this is the lap that, here we are with all this stuff again. This is the lap that Jake just about, he went pretty sideways where JD crashed. Let me just get rid of some of this other stuff.
Okay.
So this is some lean angle and wheel speeds here.
Yeah.
So zoom up on this particular area right here. You can kind of see where it is on the corner. You probably can't see the map. No, you can't. Can you see that map?
I don't see the track map, no.
That's okay. So you're going through the S's, and this is about where they dip down and go left, where JD crashed. Right. And you can see where the rear is starting to, the red line is the rear tire.
Okay.
White line is the front tire. So the front tire goes through the dip, and through the puddle, splashes through there, and the rear goes through.
It goes whoop.
And it steps out. So it goes from basically, I don't know, looking like 170 kilometers an hour on the rear.
Yeah.
Up to 90 kilometers an hour in that amount of time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then it comes back. Then it stops on that left and then goes straight again. Stops going right and then it goes straight again. So you can kind of get an idea of what happened there. So
that's crazy.
That's not a normal wheel speed spike like that. And the lean angle there, you can kind of see the lean angle. Let me move this map. Lean angle is right at 30-something degrees, 31 degrees. And you kind of see here, if you zoom up on this, you see where the lean angle all of a sudden changes also, where the spike is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the kind of, you see it's going through there at about 30 degrees and also goes to 31.5.
Oh, man. So just a little,
Yeah, and actually Jake was actually picking up the throttle through there because you drive through that left-hander. You see where up here where this graph is? Can you see that right there?
Yeah.
And he kind of starts to slow the bike a little bit, just rolls off, and you're going through there in fourth. You see that gear mark right there?
Oh,
fourth.
shit. Fourth gear.
You're boogieing pretty good. At least our bike is fourth. Some bikes might be third.
Okay.
You know, but we use the gearbox different than a lot of people do. We use it more like a MotoGP bike. So you're banging through the gears quite a bit, and because last year we were able to use a different kind of gearbox. So anyway, we keep working on our R1, which is, so people say it's long in the tooth, but we keep finding new things to keep making it competitive. So again, so he starts opening the throttle, and that's when he gets the whoop right through there.
Yeah.
Also, the bike drops a little more lean angle, and then it grabs and picks up. And then he continues through the corner.
Yeah, I could see if you didn't have that setup the way you have it, it wouldn't be super confidence inspiring, right?
Well, you could end up on your head like JD did.
Right. Yeah, like I said, when you get that snap, it's man, that's tough.
Yeah. So here's this lap compared to this is an overlay. You'll see it in a second. So let me just get this to where the distances line up.
Okay.
There you go. It's kind of lined up. Not really lined up. Okay, there we go, I think.
So one line is wet and one's dry?
Yeah, one lap is wet. Okay, it's more lined up now. So one lap is wet, the other one's dry.
Okay.
So the dry, you see the red? That's like a 25.3 lap. Okay. And the wet is a 35.5 lap. Right? And you can see the green is wet and the red is dry.
So he's more gas on the wet.
So you see that line right there?
Yeah.
Every time he applies full throttle or open throttle, it adds. So here it's like a steady number because it's got no full throttle. And then over here it keeps adding and adding. So on the wet setup, he had 25.4 seconds of the grip wide open. Wow. And in the dry setup, you had 21.8 seconds of grip wide open.
21 seconds per lap. Wide open.
So full throttle.
That's it. I wonder if in the comments people are shocked by that.
But go ahead.
I mean, in the comments, people like if you're shocked that there's only 21 seconds of full throttle on a lap that's a minute 25, right? Like,
yeah,
that's a lot. That's not a whole lot of time at full gas, is it?
Yeah.
And you said it was how many did you say in the rain?
In the rain was 25.4 seconds that particular lap, and 21.8 seconds in the dry.
Wow. So
one of the reasons is you're going slower in the corners, right? So straightaways are basically longer.
Yeah. Okay.
Because time-wise, because you have to accelerate for much slower time to get to speed when you can rocket through the corner in the dry. So you would be picking up the throttle a little bit later too. So in the dry, because of the traction control and all those things, you get to full throttle a little faster, and you stand up, get the full throttle, and then you just sit there for a while trying to get to the next braking zone. So you're going to use more full throttle. You're going to use more gas, as a matter of fact, in the dry and the wet than you do in the dry. Because of the on throttle time, right?
Yeah. Ride to Death says corner speed is slower and less lean angle in the rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
More throttle. Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of interesting. Is there anything else you want to see?
No, that's actually what I wanted to see, really. But
yeah, the speeds are quite a bit different. You can see here in the speed.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. Lean angle.
How big of a difference is the speed mile an hour wise? Like.
Let me see. I don't know if Jake had the GPS thing going on with his, but we could probably figure it out from the front wheel speed, because the front wheel speed's pretty pinned to GPS speed.
Okay.
And but the rear squish is different on the
Yeah.
wet tire. So let's see, your front wheel speed. Yeah, looking like here's the front wheel speed. So we're getting about in the dry that lap, getting by about 300K and a little over 300K in a couple spots.
Yeah.
Then front wheel speed's about 280, so about 20K less.
And my wife left her phone in here somewhere. Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, so that's quite a bit different there. Right?
Yeah.
Quite a bit different there. We you actually made the suggestion trackside on Sunday, and I was just happened to be there, so standing there with the camera. So I talked to that Dunlop guy with the rain tires. And,
Mm-hmm.
I try to ask him all the silly questions that club racer dummies like myself would ask, and it seemed to be pretty well received. I don't know if you watched that, but what do you think of some of the stuff he was saying about like not needing tire warmers and something about he said that in the rain they need a smaller contact patch too. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because you want to shed the water away and get the rubber to the ground the best you can. So it's obviously a trade-off between punching through the water to how much contact patch you have to actually grip the ground. So that's where all the tire development goes in, and that's, I think it's Huntsville. They have a wet track over there where they test rain tires, and yeah. So I've seen so many different versions of the slices or cuts or knobbies, even like cleats.
Yeah.
On the tires, like square blocks. I've seen all kinds of stuff on wet tires. Airplane style tires, I've seen that. They've gone through a lot of iterations of different tread patterns and tire sizes, and so yeah, the rubber's made to work cold. But like I was telling, his name is Mick, but his name is Michael Jackson.
Ow.
Things, yeah. But anyway, we're talking to Mick, and we have PPMS on the bike, so we can see where the pressures are, and still get a pretty decent amount of pressure rise in those things, even though in full downpour. So you can start with one pressure and then have it climb, and before it stabilizes, so you can get a pretty hard tire in the wet if you're not careful with the pressures where you start. Or it could be a mush ball. So the other thing too you have to consider in the wet is drying conditions, right? So if you're on a drying track and you're out there not cooling down the tires, they'll turn into bowling balls. They'll expand really big.
Oh shit!
The temperatures come up, right? There's nothing to cool them off. You hear about people driving through puddles or something to keep them alive. I don't know how much that's going to cool down the tire. It's really, once the rim gets hot, it's hot.
Yeah.
Tire is a terrible conductor of heat. It's like an insulator, rubber, all those different layers in there.
Yeah.
Different cords. It takes a while. That's why heating up your tire to get your internal temperature hot is kind of lame when you think about it, the way we do it. So getting rim heaters on the tire, on the wheel, is much more effective at heating the wheel up and having an oven like we have.
Right.
And then that gets the whole internal temperature stabilized before you even hit the racetrack. So that's one of the things that, it sounds like we go through a lot, but to beat guys like Cam Beaubier and guys hungry like JD Beach on really fast motorcycles, I think it takes a lot.
Yeah.
You have to keep working at it.
Well, if it was easy, everybody would be winning, right?
Yeah. Those three guys basically, SDK was kind of there for a bit. So he kind of surprised me how fast he got along with that BMW of his. Looks pretty fast, and he was there for a little bit in the wet, and Heron was nowhere, and neither was Baz, which really surprised me too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys missed on the electronics.
Heron usually goes good in the wet, doesn't he?
What's that?
Doesn't Heron typically go good in the wet?
It's Cast 22. I think when he's feeling it, he goes good. And he obviously wasn't feeling it that weekend because he was in and out of the pits in morning warm up. And then Fong, I guess, typically doesn't do good in the wet, which I don't understand, because the wet is basically an extension of the dry, in my opinion. It's just slower.
Yeah.
I think it's all about, maybe they never rode a bike that was set up properly for the wet. Because I mean, those guys are talented enough to hang it out in the dry and break that hard and spin that much and slide that much. Why can't they do it in the wet? And it always shocks me when guys like that fast suck in the wet.
Right. I mean, I saw similar things in the World Superbike and Super Sport too. I don't know if you watched any of that stuff. Ever had time? You don't have any time.
No, but I know that Toprak wasn't that great in the wet before, but he's gone faster and faster and faster of recent. You know, I think he was pretty fast in the BMW in the wet. The BMW's always been pretty decent as a wet platform. For whatever reason, Vandermark, maybe it was just Vandermark, was always going forward whenever it rained. And but I mean, the Yamaha is just a great platform altogether, like a well-rounded platform for racing.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, super solid. The engine delivers torque real nicely, very manageable. So it may not have the ultimate top speed as some of the other guys, but as you can see, you know, on our bike, we're able to get that thing to jump off the corners. I got to turn 7. Yeah, I watched the first race again, and for sure, Jake didn't get as good a run out of 7 on that last lap, unfortunately. You know, he spun up quite a bit. Looked like it stepped out, spun up a little bit, right on the edge of the track. So maybe he got out there where it was a little bit dirty, spun up, and then he got a little sideways somewhere else too, and then that killed his drive. But for the most part, I think our bike is driving off the corners really well, is braking really well, so it makes up for any deficit it has on top speed.
I went and watched a couple areas on the racetrack, and one of the things I noticed is was it in the S's on the first flick back to the right when he gets back on the gas, Jake was actually on the gas sooner than everybody. Like there wasn't a single person that was on the gas before him, at least from what you could hear.
Yeah, that's the confidence, and some of that's his style. I don't know if he's picked that up from, you know, he's a really good motocrosser. I don't know if that you got to drive off those, you know, off the berms or whatever with a lot of gas, especially on the 450s. And so it might be some of that if you ever went watch motocross race. I mean, those guys drive off the corners pretty hard.
Right. He just snapped the thing, you know, he just like gets in there.
It's raw, straight off the corners. And so he kind of does the same thing with the Superbike. Yeah. And I think he's one of the most aggressive guys on the throttle, without a doubt.
Yeah. So, you know, going back to that, you know, Jake, he just, I don't know, like you said he'd been working on the brake stuff, and, you know, watching him from a couple of spots. I mean, he's still doing the rear wheel in the air thing. He was really aggressive over that hill under the bridge. I don't know what you call that. Into the last turn. But yeah, rear wheel was in the air, man. That didn't used to be Jake.
No, that's something that, again, when we went to Portimao and we saw what we saw with how crazy those guys break in World Superbike.
Right.
You know, just given the good throttle, like, you know, the old school, in slow and out fast is a fast lap. That's yesterday. I mean, that's like 10 years ago or more.
Okay.
Now it's in fast and out fast.
You're right.
Brake super hard to get to the apex and open the throttle as hard as you can. That's the only way. You know, you get left behind otherwise.
Right. Okay. All right. And then I was going to ask you something else. I'm like not remembering what I was going to say. So I got to.
Well, you got such a great memory. That's what I heard.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But I do have some questions from people.
Yeah,
so, all right. So I do have a guy that.
I have a list of stuff you said you were going to ask me if you want me to help you remember.
I'll go to that in a second. But I know that Matt Knutson, he says he's got a question for the genius. And he said that in the past, you stated that you hope the levels of the competitors, your competition increases. Do you feel that hope has finally coming true? And this year could be the most challenging that we've ever seen the Superbike class in a long time? And then also, what was learned from this past weekend's races from the competition, the strengths and weaknesses that will, you know, be developed for future rounds?
Yeah, I think the competition stepped up. I mean, they brought in some riders that are either some of the riders have developed and some riders have stepped into the series. Like Baz has come back So that's competition. Heron seemed to have stepped up second year on the Ducati. Obviously, it's a fast bike, and he's going to have his moments without a doubt.
Right.
If they get all their act together, I guess it wasn't a great example of racing this last weekend, but I'm sure that team's going to put it all together at some point.
Yeah.
And the BMWs. Got JD came back in, and he's pretty hungry, really hungry. I think he's
Right.
going to he's a good racer more than he is a good tester or a qualifier or any of that stuff. So I think he's going to be there the whole year. SDK showed that he's pretty fast. Obviously Cameron Bobier is fast, really fast on a fast motorcycle, and also has a good team. And then you have our Cameron Peterson, whose hands been feeling pretty good. So I think as the year goes on, it's going to be more and more and more competitive. I think Barber should be a good test for him because he's always so fast there to see if that all comes together properly. And Jake's been improving his braking game, and we've improved the bike to help him get there. So all those things I think are going to make for a really interesting season, without a doubt. And what did we learn from Road Atlanta? That we're not that far off the horsepower game.
Yeah, you guys looked pretty fast down the straights for sure.
Yeah, and I didn't mention Bobby. I mean, the ADR guys are getting their act together too. So he's going to be there, I think, all year long too, as long as it doesn't rain.
Is it sort of one of those careful what you wish for things?
No, I don't think so. If you're running around by yourself, and guess what? Eventually the manufacturers will get tired of winning. There is such a thing, by the way. You can't advertise a win if they're not racing anybody. It's kind of difficult. But if it's much more rewarding when you win by a bike length. Right.
Okay.
And you have to really work for it.
That makes sense.
The challenge is much better. I remember Rick Hobbs asking me in 2020, how was the season? And when Bobier was winning everything by over 10 seconds.
Right.
I said, honestly, pretty boring. I said, just way too easy and pretty boring. So I'm kind of glad they stepped up, and too bad for Escalante, because I thought he'd be there the whole year too. But those guys might find someone to stick on that. It's pretty competitive.
Yeah. The racing was exciting. I mean, it was. Yeah. Man, the Superbike racing was super exciting. I mean, we saw Bobby Fong sort of Heron, right? And then we saw Jake get past and pass back multiple times. Obviously, Cam ended up coming out on top on Saturday.
Yeah, Bobby pulled Heron for sure. He dove underneath him, didn't give up the spot.
Right.
And I mean, Josh does that, right? He leans on people, and he's very difficult to take a spot away from. He just won't give it up, and sometimes to his own detriment,
Right. So there was that.
It was a pretty tough pass, I must say.
Yeah.
I watched it a couple times, and he got in there, and I don't know if he surprised him or not, but Heron did a pretty kind of a late turn in. Surprised he let that spot open. He's a pretty tenacious competitor. Like he wouldn't leave that inside open like that, and Bobby took it. So this is what happens in racing.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I said it last night, but dude, Heron was riding. He was ripping in the dry, and usually
he loves that track.
Yeah, usually if something like that were to happen, usually he kind of like gets all emotional and kind of stumps his, and then but this time he put his head down and was throwing down like super fast laps.
Yeah, he had some gestures at the end, I saw.
Yeah.
The arm up. And most riders do that anyway, Yeah. They get pushed off the track. I wouldn't be too happy.
Right.
But I don't think it was a bad move on Bobby's part. I think that was just racing.
Yeah, it looked clean. It didn't look like full contact. It wasn't like
rubbed. I think they touched a little bit.
It wasn't like Kyle Wyman and Bobby in the bagger thing at Coda, right?
Yeah. I don't think Bobby left him much in the trajectory, though. I watched it a couple times.
Yeah,
I think he went to the curbing on the exit. I don't think he left him much room.
Right.
Yeah. Like there wasn't going to be any driving through that ground at speed.
Right. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, this I remember now, the podium stuff, race 2. Cam P was pretty emotional there.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously Jake got the win with his not today pal end of the race action with Bobier.
Yeah, he got in race 2, he got a good run off of 7.
Yeah.
And it looked like the Beamer didn't have quite the same jump with the rain tires, or maybe they were getting a little bit.
He kind of did one of these numbers too, like Bobier had the little, you know.
Yeah, I mean that happens when you're riding those conditions, but didn't seem to get that good a jump off of turn 7.
Right.
Our bike got a pretty good jump, made a couple bike length gap or so, and so it took the BMW all the straightaway to kind of pull alongside and
yeah. Not today, pal.
Jake was, I mean, he was within that range. I didn't think Jake was going to give up that passing opportunity for the second one, you know?
Right.
If his hand was numb, he probably would have just, used his teeth on the lever or something. You know?
You just reached over with the
it was left hand and grabbed it, the brake lever. But anyway, so I think that track, for whatever reason, and a lot of people say this, that if you have arm pump, that's the track to have it at.
Yeah, everybody said that track was arm pump city.
Yeah, you don't rest very much on a track, even though you got the all straightaway. You're kind of wheeling, going downhill, going through that kink, and then you're braking really hard downhill. So it's pretty hard on the wrists.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully that.
Yeah, Cameron was. I don't know if he was surprised to get on the podium or what, but it's been since Laguna last year we actually raced.
Right.
He's had a few tests with us, and he had to sit out one because he. I don't know if how many people know, but he actually broke his hand in the bicycling thing right before, like a few weeks before the last test.
Right.
We pushed the test back a week, and then so I think he was pretty happy he could actually ride for the length of the race and still be pretty competitive,
Yeah, he told me after, he's like, man, I gotta stop crying.
He's just happy. Those are joy,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all kind of worried about him, I mean, the guy, he's such a good dude, and he had that moment, he had that year basically where he just couldn't catch a break.
Yeah, I mean, the team can't ask for any two better guys to be on the bikes,
right?
Like personality-wise. It's just so easy going, both of them. It's the upset is a rarity, put it that way.
Yeah. And then, obviously the JD crash earlier in that race, he was going good, and he just, he threw it away, and like the savage that he is, he picked it up and just, a lot of people are talking about how small of a dude that guy is.
I think that
thing around like it's nothing.
I think that video of him running over, picking up the bike should be something every rider studies.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many guys fall down and they just sit there and pout, stomp their feet, and do all this stuff when the bike's just sitting there. Like, get up, you dummy, and go over pick up that motorcycle. I mean, JD was looking at the bike as he was sliding. I mean, his all his focus was pick up that bike and go again.
Yeah.
Which he did.
Who I know is not going to do what you just described? You know who I know is not going to do that? Gus Rodeo. Yeah. Right? Mr. Actively competing himself. Like, I'm pretty sure Gus Rodeo is never going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. They should all watch that video and go, I could do that. And the fact that he was able to pick up a Superbike like it was a, little tiny 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
And spin around, side saddle through the grass, and he's using the clutch to work the thing around, right? And if you notice that, he walked the bike around while using the clutch to drive it instead of him trying to push it. So he did everything right. I mean, that's what everyone should study. It's like a rider-wise, and salvage points, he still finished 4th, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good salvage from falling down at 100 miles an hour or whatever. Probably third gear for them. Probably good 80 miles an hour.
Wow.
That's a pretty good crash.
Yeah.
And the bike survived. He's able to ride it and all that kind of stuff. So I think everyone should have a good study on that if you're a rider.
Wow.
How to crash a bike, how to pick it up, and how to go again and still finish pretty decent.
So the conditions were pretty shit. So you ran full wets, and there's no intermediate tires here in the States.
No.
Honestly, the World Superbike, with World Supersport, they had some guys on wets, some guys on slicks, some guys on the intermediates. It was a giant clusterfuck. Like, some people that should have been in the front were in the way back, and bad tire choice in that race. Because it could have dried out a little bit, and
Yeah, I mean, okay. So here's the thing: Dunlops are not the best wet tire.
Okay.
Yeah, but they are pretty decent tire for those weird conditions. So in other words, they last when the track is drying. So why bother with an intermediate?
Okay.
It's just going to be a crappy. It's going to be a crappier wet tire. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some of the tires like Michelin that has a MotoGP or World Superbike, those guys are like full on got that thing leaned over, definitely more than 40 degrees.
Yeah.
You know, they got that thing leaned over pretty good, and our guys have a hard time touching their knee. You know, I mean, for the most part, they do. They showed Jake, I think, tapping his knee down in a couple spots. Right. But he's got long knees, you know, so some of the shorter guys can't get to it. And you see those GP guys.
Also, Alpine Stars, I talked to Heath, and dude, the rain pucks are like ginormous.
Yeah, they're pretty tall. You know, back in the day, we used to take.
I gotta get Gil a set of those.
Well, you know that's right. I'm not saying we did it, but we as a group, racers, used to take 2 knee sliders and would screw them together.
Oh. And when exactly was that, Richard?
I don't know, 2000-ish, something. Yeah, we'd screw those things together or somehow fasten them together, and then that gave the guy the ability to get his knee down. And in that too was always like lowering the motorcycle to get the knee down. And once you get the knee down, then they gave the guys some confidence in their lean angle of where they could be. Right. Yeah. But anyway, back to the intermediates. It's just the tire does fine when the track is drying. Yeah. And obviously you could see it. Those guys are going faster and faster, and they weren't giving up. And everybody was pretty stable, you know. So yeah. Definitely looked way more stable than Road America. Remember when it was drying at Road America? That was pretty much a dry track. Right. So if your tire's going to last at Road America, you know, in a drying track, it'll be fine. When the track is drying, you don't need an intermediate. One more choice to confuse everyone. We're not that smart as a group.
Copy that.
Intermediates, some guys will have a slick front or a slick rear, an intermediate front, and they'll have like a wet front and a slick rear. And
well, because it only rains on the rear.
On the front, only rains on one.
Only rains on the front.
Yeah, if you pick you have to pick before the race starts which side you want the bike to be rained on, and then you pick a tire to match. You have a rain rear. Right? Yeah, they only rain on the rear.
Yeah. So there's a couple of other R1 things I was noticing just watching World Superbike and obviously hanging out the weekend. You know, the Yamaha still is kind of like the handling bike too. I mean, you know, watching World Superbike, you'd watch the Yamahas going through this long sweeping left-hander, and it seemed like they were gapping people there, and then they would get caught down the straights. So
yeah, that's pretty much the case right now. We still have a few things up our sleeve. We work on them.
Yeah. So that's yeah. But then what I was saying is that originally I was talking about the rain thing and how, you know, you've been the guy that's the gambler, right? Like you know, if the rain is like kind of probably gonna go away, you'd probably want to go out on slicks, right?
Depends on the track. If it's a track that's got streams in it.
Right.
Remember at New Jersey last year when it was drying and JD won?
Yeah.
And that particular track had some pretty wet areas. The drainage wasn't that good.
Those S's out of 10, right? Those S's out of 10 always have that river.
Yeah. So then you have a track like PIRC, where Heron won a first Superbike race for us, right, in 2018. Right. We went on slicks, and he smashed everyone. Yeah. You know, and then there was also first time JD won a Superbike race was on our bike in 19. That was at VIR, and that place dried pretty good too. So even though you had some damp spots, you didn't have any real rivers. Yeah. New Jersey, the thing floods and has certain areas where there's just, you know, just the soil there just keeps spitting up water, and Atlanta's kind of the same way. You have some rivers, so those are kinds of tracks, and you get those puddles like where JD crashed. Those kinds of tracks where the slicks is not an option. Okay. You know, but if you have a track where it doesn't have a lot of puddling and a lot of stuff like that, and you have mostly dry, yeah, for sure the slick is an option.
Wow, that's Yeah, it was just interesting, how the teams decided to go slick, wet, tire, intermediate.
In World Superbike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Sport too, I think.
Yeah. Well, that track dried up and had pretty decent drainage, so it wasn't bad. World spec class.
Right. Right.
But Atlanta's not that track.
Yeah. Well, I think the race 2 stuff, it was pretty wet. So like they,
Yeah, it stopped drizzling. It pretty much stopped raining when the Superbike race started.
Right.
We would have preferred if it would kept a little more wet.
Right.
For our bike, it would have been probably a little bit better if it was full wet.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the comments real quick
Yeah.
before we wrap this thing. Yeah. Let's see. Abraham wants to know about the rim heater, huh? I guess he's taking an oven to the track now.
No, rim heater is part of I think a lot. Like Capit makes a warmer. Our warmers have 2 channels on them, so they have 2 controllers. You can control the rim heater or the tire heater. So we've been bringing down the tire temperature more and more, and then working with the rim temperature. So we don't end up abusing the rubber before we put it on the bike, and try to get the rim temperature, the rim stable, which we've talked about before. Unfortunately, we give away some of our technology when we do this show, as Robbie Peterson said. He said, "You give away a lot on that show," and we've been, I watch all of it.
Yeah.
I thought he did a good job on Bobby's bike.
We're gonna have to start making up shit now, huh?
Yeah, we could do some disinformation, but that doesn't do the average guy any justice.
No.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. What bike are we gonna run now that the R1 has been announced that it's no longer gonna be?
Well, it's good for another couple of years in Superbike, I do believe.
Okay.
Before the homologation runs out. I think that I can't speak for the factory, but they're probably going to be like R6, which, as a matter of fact, we're going to be getting some of those R6s here. The race versions, they got another handful of them coming to the shop. So if anybody's looking for an R6 race version, quick, cheap, advertising here. And
I saw that Yosef's got on the Attack Instagram. There was something about a crate engine.
Yeah, we just got a batch of crate engines too. So he's been normally some of those car guys eat them up, but he's kind of holding on to them to give to more motorcycle oriented people.
Okay.
He's this batch, and then we have, I think, one more batch coming in midsummer, something like that. For a little bit, months, another batch of engines coming. But yeah, so we have a batch of engines there. If you have to rebuild your R6, we're kind of getting off track here.
Yeah,
it'll cost you more than these brand new crate engines are.
Right.
Because the valves are pricey, and all the components are pricey, like cylinder, valves, case, whatever. It all adds up, and you can get a whole crate.
I saw the price.
If I was going to rebuild an R6 engine, I would sell the one I have and buy one of these crate engines, because it's just such a good deal. Brand new, comes with throttle bodies. It's like getting a new bike.
So for those watching this show, if you race an R6, call the shop.
Yeah, like $5,000 for the engine, I do believe.
Yeah, a brand new engine for basically what a used shitty one on eBay costs.
Yeah, a little bit more than an eBay engine, but they're brand spanking new in a crate.
Yeah.
So straight off the assembly line. So we got a handful of those. We're able to sell. Allowed us to sell them, so we'll get them out to whoever's racing those motorcycles.
I've got somebody asking, Antony, right?
Okay.
He wants to know where he could send a resume.
We're all full up right now.
Right.
We may be looking for a full-time guy for next season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the shop.
Wow. Oh, all right.
I'm gonna fire Walker, and then we're gonna get a full-time guy.
You're gonna fire Walker?
No, I'm kidding.
I'm
joking.
Funny. That's funny.
Walker will have to die at the shop before I fire him.
Oh, man. Proto wants to know, how much does it cost to develop a new engine for the R1? And he's got it as a fraction of Fabio's salary.
Fabio's salary,
like Quadraro's salary.
Oh yeah. Was he
like I don't know what Fabio's salary is, but it's a lot.
I heard 12 million for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, good on him.
I don't know. I have too many zeros. I have to get out the calculator. 10%. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of zeros.
Yeah, no, Knutson says that I guess this is in response to Steve Main, but apparently he's saying that we are the crowd that's buying his jets.
We?
Yeah, I don't know.
We like you and me?
Yeah, I don't think so, bro. Like, I live in Palmdale, dude. It's like,
I
calm
need to
down.
do some stand-up comedy.
Oh man, don't even get me started on that, dude.
I can probably get one of the
Okay,
tires.
here's one. And you know what? I don't know. We're running a little long, but how
Are we?
was the fuel any better? Wow.
Might be faster.
Okay.
I mean, okay. I'll tell you a secret.
Oh shit.
We ran a stock head gasket, stock base gasket at Road Atlanta because we were scared of the fuel.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's just. Walker says he'd quit first.
Before he died.
No, so Ride to Death. Apparently he's like one of those track day junkies unleashed people. I don't know if you've heard of this place on this group on Facebook. Well, he says that he wants to know if you'll sign his TDJU meme shirt at Barber. He's a big fan of the entire team. It's all good fun. And by the way, Gagne already signed it.
It has the letters JU in there.
Does it? Oh.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah, it does. TDJU.
I don't think I'm allowed to pick on JU.
Oh, fuck me either. Oh, man. You know, I kind of feel for that team because I know that wadding up a Superbike, like writing off a Superbike.
Did they crash just about every bike they owned?
Yeah. They had a couple of limping riders in their pit, dude.
Yeah. No matter how messed up their reporting is, I still have some sympathy for the team.
Yeah, dude. I mean, even though they're Suzuki's, it still sucks.
I don't care about that. I really hope Suzuki is a strong brand of the paddock because we want competition.
Yeah,
we raced Suzuki's for 3 years and won 2 championships.
Yeah,
back in the day. So I think they gave this team a shot to go forward. So I have nothing against Suzuki at all. I wish them success. I would just like to win.
Right. There you go. And then Ed is mentioning this, but I saw pictures of it online. Did you see that Top Pro has an oven like ours? Although ours is way better.
Yeah, I mean, if you come up with some new stuff, they're going to inspire some other people to do the same. And
yeah,
it's kind of the same with our chassis setup or whatever. We inspire some other teams to do that, and that's kind of our job, not in the paddock, but to inspire other teams to step it up.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And then
I was doing show and tell, right?
You have a show and tell thing, and we saved this for last, everybody.
Yeah.
Before
So
we're at the show, Richard's gonna show this badass
thing. So we need to get
a barrel. You flip it upside down. You put a barrel on it, right? And you mount that
yeah. I mean, this is it's bottle opener here.
Oh, yeah.
This way. So
okay.
Back up though. So you got this thing here, right?
Toothbrush holder.
It's fairly weighty.
Heavy toothbrush holder.
Yeah, and so people need to guess where this thing goes on a motorcycle. We raced with this thing last weekend.
Okay, everybody in the comments, first comment gets it. Big old monstrous hunk of billet. What the fuck is it?
Well, I can tell you a little bit. Our bike's been underweight for a long time. We've always had to run extra gas.
Oh.
So it's partially a ballast. But where would you put this thing?
Well, Eric's saying that
and it's available. It's available to any of the Yamaha race teams in Motor America, because I promised Tech that if they made it okay for us to use, then it's not a performance advantage. It's really a weight, but it does have some other advantages.
Okay, Ride to Death says it's a swing arm mount. Gabriel De Silva says it's on the shock.
No, not even close.
Nope. You know, I don't have that buzzer thing, but you know, whatever. Anyone else mounting? Yeah, I don't know, man. What do you guys think?
I'll give it one more view, maybe I'll give them a heads up. It fits like this.
It fits like that. Subframe mount. Come on, Canutes. Oh, it's an engine head.
No.
Oil pan something.
Getting close.
Oh shit, we're getting close. Oil pan something. Okay. Over the throttle bodies. That's nowhere near the oil pan, Cody. Come on, guys. All right, what the fuck is it, man?
Do I have to give it away? Maybe they can just keep guessing.
Well, tank holder.
No.
It goes in the oil pan. It's a pickup baffle thing.
No, that's a little piece of metal. We have one of those.
Supports an engine spinning thingy.
It's getting closer.
Oil pan saver. Crankshaft girdle. Crankshaft girdle. That's funny.
So it's not a crankshaft journal, but it's very close.
A girdle. A crankshaft girdle. Girdle.
Yeah, that's getting a little closer. This actually goes to the bottom of the engine, where the three center main caps are. So what it does is it adds some ballast to our bike where we want it, right? For our center of gravity that we're looking for.
Okay.
And it also gives a little bit of stability to the crankshaft. And so they say that helps with longevity of the crankshaft. So it's not really a performance thing. It's more of a ballast for us. But, you know, if it brings any kind of reliability, safety to the engine, then Motor America is all about it.
So 555 Voss wants a shirt or something. We're not going to give you a shirt. I'll send you a Talk Motorbike sticker, dude. Like you're.
Oh, maybe we got a shirt. Who knows?
Maybe we'll get a shirt, but we don't have any right now.
Last year's shirts that we can't use anymore because of the Cassius Lean sponsorship. What? Did I say something?
Wow, dude. You're just digging in there, huh?
Well, you saw the big blank spots on the side of the trailer, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
the big square block. That's the Cassius Lean sponsor.
Eric Davis is saying we could send them flex shirts.
Flex shirts. Yeah, we don't have any of those, though.
Oh,
that's the problem.
He said, oh, wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. They never showed up.
Yeah. Dude, you know what? I had a few comments from racers that I talked to over the weekend thanking us for talking about that thing because apparently we weren't the only ones that were affected by that shirt thing. So they're like, dude, we're so glad.
He needs to find another shirt place to do his shit up in China or Vietnam, wherever he's getting from.
Alibaba. Oh, man.
Chiquetto's got some shirts from Alibaba for like $13 a piece.
Dude, so did the ADR team. The ADR team shirts look legit.
Yeah. So I like our shirts.
I like our shirts too.
They're really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. There's Pinky says to send him the Attack wife beater.
The Attack wife beater.
Jesus.
What size does he wear? He has to send a self-addressed stamped envelope.
I thought you but I thought you said that we only had toddlers extra medium wife beaters. So
I don't think I have any wife beaters since I was in college. I used to go to the gym.
Wow, man. Yeah, a kid. How about a kid small? Basically, that's what Barry's thing.
I just gave all the smalls away to Marshall. They were in the. That's all I had left was smalls. He's like, "Oh, we got some extra shirts. I'll take those."
Dude, you know Marshall's he's a
swag whore.
He's a swag whore.
He loves the swag.
You know, he probably supplements his income by eBaying and shit.
Maybe when he was on the Jordan team, they had all those special shoes.
Oh man,
he might have a house full of Jordan special shoes. I don't know.
Would not be surprised. I would not be surprised.
We should have a lot of guys on that team had some.
Should we call Tom and order Attack Yamaha shoes?
Yeah,
I wonder what Tom's reaction to that would be.
Yeah.
That.
I don't want to have that conversation.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap this thing. Thank you guys for watching. Richard, thanks for putting up with this crap.
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
People watch this stuff.
Yeah, I know, dude. I know.
Can I go back to work now?
Yeah, dude. Attack Pro Wings. I mean, like the shoe thing's continuing. So, all right, let's
Yeah.
let's go.
All right, man. We'll
Bye,
talk to you.
everybody.